Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Cancer, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of June. I hope you're well. I'm using the Llewellyn Tarot for you today. What do I have to tell you? Mercury retrograde is upon us. I think 29th of May it's hitting. Nothing to be worried about. You know, the usual rules apply. Try not to start anything new. But it's a good time for tying up loose ends on something that you've already started. Try not to sign contracts unless you absolutely have to, and if you absolutely have to, get them double checked and triple checked. Make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Don't be surprised if people from the past will reappear. That's what the energy does. But it's the people or situations are reappearing so that you have an opportunity to close them out, bring some finality to the situation. And do remember that what appears in a retrograde, a Mercury retrograde, doesn't always stay. In fact, most times it doesn't. So, you know, if people do come back from the past, they're back for a reason. And once that reason is done with, then they're gone. So, with that out of the way, there will be an extended at the end of this if it resonates with you. So, I have 3 cards for Cancer, please. Oh, there's the first one. We have the Fool. In your recent past, I like that. Present energy for... Oh, we got 2 together. Oh, we got the High Priestess. That is wonderful. And the 3 of Pentacles. Nice. And what is coming towards Cancer in June, please? Thank you. 6 of Swords. So much movement here for you. Certainly either side of where you are at the moment. At the bottom of the deck we have the Ace of Swords with the 9 of Cups. Oh, and the Chariot. Gosh, look at that, Cancer. There. That is absolutely extraordinary. The Chariot is the card of Cancer, right? So there you are putting in an appearance in your own reading, which is always a good thing to see. But it talks about drive and determination. It talks about goal setting. And actually, you know, taking steps to achieve what it is that you set out to do for yourself. It also talks about balance. Understanding your motivations and sort of driving towards them really fast. And for that, balance is important because the Charioteer is controlling 2 beasts here. And I like this in the Llewellyn because that second horse there is so deep in the water. It looks like it's made of water. It's talking about emotional stability, emotional balance, and this is so very important for you. These 2 cards that we've got here, it's important for everyone, frankly. Ace of Swords and 9 of Cups. The Ace of Swords it can be those epiphanies that just come from nowhere, you know, when you stood doing the washing up and suddenly you're hit with such a fundamental truth about a situation or about yourself, you know. It is true insight into something. And for me, I do think that it changes the way that you perceive the world. I do. It's profound energy. And it's here with the 9 of Cups. The 9 of Cups being your own personal relationship to your own happiness, your own emotional contentment, right? Putting yourself first, understanding what makes you happy and taking responsibility for that and that alone. I mean, not looking to other people to make you happy and certainly not looking to make other people happy, you know, in absence of them being able to do it for themselves. This is really strong, Cancer. I like this for you a lot. So let's get some clarifiers and flip that around. And we'll see what's going on here. Because for all there's movement here, where you are right now seems to be a place of stillness. Almost consolidation, actually, now I'm looking at it. So tell me about the Fool. Why is that here for Cancer, please? Why is the Fool here for Cancer? Oh, got 2 jump out at the same time. We have Temperance and we have the Ace of Pentacles. Stunning. I love this for you. Let's have a look at this. Why is the High Priestess and the 3 of Pentacles here, please? We have the Hierophant. We have the Magician. One more for this, please. And we have the 2 of Pentacles here. I got full body goosebumps. They usually kind of roll up from my ankles, up my legs, and then, you know, up my back, my scalp, and down my arms. This one actually came up the sides, right into my armpits. This is huge. There's a lot of major arcana here for you, Cancer. It's... Ooh. Tell me about the Six of Swords, please. Thank you. We have your third ace. Do you know, I can't remember how many readings I've done now for June, but almost all of them have had a significant number of aces appear. I love it for you. Tell me about this Ace of Swords, the Six of Swords, please. It's the Six of Swords here. My God. Right, Cancer. Without a shadow of a doubt, there's the Ten of Swords. And the world behind that, right? Without a shadow of a doubt, June is an extremely pivotal month for you. The interesting thing is that I'm not sure that you will perceive quite how much is shifting and changing around you at this point. Like, I cannot ignore the number of major arcana cards that we've got on the table here. We've got the Fool, we've got Temperance, we've got the High Priestess, we've got the Hierophant, the Magician, and we've got Judgment. This is some big energy playing around you. And like I said, I think consolidation is a really, really good word for what is going on here, because you are kind of like the eye of the storm here. You are the peace within the chaos. And so you're just sort of doing your thing here while all of this massive energy is swirling around you. It's absolutely profound. The other thing that I really, really like about this is that, well, is this. You know, the minor arcana, or the pips as they're known, they run from the ace to the 10, right? That is, in and of itself, a small cycle within a larger cycle, which is the major arcana, right? And life is full of these day-to-day little cycles that we run along, we complete, you know, over and over and over again. When you hit a 10, which is completion, there's a certain finality that is, ooh, that's the second time I've used that word here for you, about this card. The next step is the Ace of Swords again. You start the cycle again, but the presumption is that it always goes like this. You know, once you've closed out a cycle, you level up, and then the cycle begins again. And when you get back to the 10, then you will start again up here. So what you have here is something closing out, something that potentially could have been very painful for you, and this could have involved other people. This could involve revelations about yourself, principally, and God knows those are the most uncomfortable at times. But we've got you choosing to start again, right? Assisted somewhat by spirit, I have to say, because there are huge spiritual overtones in all of this, and I actually felt that in the meditation before I started the reading for you. Third eye almost pinged off my head. But it's not the only place where the cycles are being shown to be completing and starting again, because we do have this World card here, and your very first card on the table is the Fool. We've got endings and beginnings, not just of minor cycles, but of major cycles too. Ooh, I am very excited about this reading for you, Cancer. I don't know if you can tell. So, selenite. So, like I said, this is your recent past, and by recent past I mean maximum of about a month out for you, right? It's really cool. There's this crow, and it's quite an old crow. It keeps coming and whipping something out of the guttering up here. It looks like fluff or something. It's building a nest. It's really cool. It keeps coming and landing and then kind of walking along the gutter at me. It's very pleasant. Anyway, maximum of a month, right? This is something, this is a new start that is really quite profound, and it's so profound that it does not feel like it's particularly, what's the best way to put this? That it relates to something very soul deep, very emotional. Right? It could be that you've moved house, or you've, you know, started a new job, or you've moved to a new area, you know, something like that. But it feels like it's a much, much broader sense of a new cycle here. It's almost like all of the things that you've been learning about yourself of late, the gathering momentum, right? And so what is shifting here is your perspective in the world. What is shifting here is your sense of place and purpose. And possibly a great deal of healing that has gone on from, you know, past wounds, past hurts, or maybe the most recent wound, the most recent hurt. Because for some of you, there has going to have been something that's happened relatively recently, I mean the last year or so, that has kind of cut you down to the core. And it was just the most recent example of an energy or a pattern that you have been struggling with your entire life. And it's almost like this was the time that broke the camel's back. And now you're looking at everything and you're going, no, like there's a better way to do these things, and it's not the way that I've been doing it, right? I've got to go and look for something else. And there's absolute resolve to start again properly, right? In all respects. Now, the Ace of Pentacles refers to, you know, your material environment, but I do see the Pentacles as energetic currency. So anything that you are capable of spending or investing becomes a Pentacle. Absolutely can be your money and your financial circumstances, but it can be your time and your care and your effort and your love even, you know, where you choose to invest these things, they then become pentacles, as far as I'm concerned. And what we have here is this absolute resolve to start managing where you put your pentacles much, much better than where you have been putting them of late, right? And this is indicative of this enormous shift in your consciousness that seems to be going on right now. We've seen this actually coming across the Cancer readings for the last, I would say probably 3 or 4 months, I think. But as we move into your current energy, what we have is a, you know, from the movement that we see here, it's kind of this leap into the unknown, and it is unknown for you because it is a completely different way of doing things to that which you are, you know, historically accustomed. We have you sitting here, like I said, relatively passive as the eye of the storm. It could be that things are in flux around you. There's a lot of things that are changing around you, and where before this would have given you a feeling of terror and instability, there's almost a thrill about it. And the thrill comes from the change in the way that you are seeing things now, because it's so very different to how you saw it before. Now, the High Priestess, like I said, she's that card of extreme passivity, right? She's only exceeded in terms of passivity by the Hanged Man, but both of them are Piscean cards. And both of them deal with wisdom and enlightenment. They are extremely spiritual cards. This one is dealing principally with emotional growth and emotional knowledge, emotional wisdom, which is the application of knowledge, right? And she sat here not actually needing to do much. There's you see, she looks like she's blending in with her environment. But it feels more like coming into alignment with your environment. And by environment, I could well be talking about your material environment, but actually I feel like it's the people around you. And it is, to a degree, the way that you are working or choosing now to work with your higher self. You know, you're an extremely intuitive sign, but because there has always been the trust issues. Not so much with other people, because you've often, you know, dealt that out with reckless abandon, but more about how you trust yourself, like trusting yourself to make good judgments about things, right? The right movement forwards, picking the right person to invest in, the right situation to invest in. You know, you have been chaotic within a chaotic environment, and it's been exhausting. Like, it's energetically expensive to live the way that you have lived for a long time, but there's something really settling down about it. There is you finding your pieces, almost finding your center somewhat. And we've got this Three of Pentacles, which is card of cooperation and collaboration, teamwork often. And it could be with people. It could be you kind of reaching out and finding a different set of people to spend time with, ones who really feed your soul. But it feels like it's so much bigger than that. It really feels like you're coming into alignment with yourself, right? Accepting yourself, working with the energy that is presenting to you. Perhaps even, you've discovered the spirit guides have appeared to you in some sort of way. You've asked for a sign and then you've fucking received it. And you're like, oh, holy shit, this shit is real. And now I know that there is more going on than I thought there was before. The point is, you're so very, very intuitive, and that has been covered up with overthinking and anxiety and low self-esteem and a constant crippling terror of rejection that ultimately you are feeling because you are so, you have been so terrified of feeling that. Everything's been about preventing that rejection without ever really realizing that part of it was you rejecting yourself. Somewhere feeling like you weren't valid. I'll tell you what's really interesting on both of these cards. We've got spider webs. I've not noticed that before. There's a big web above the above the High Priestess, and there's one actually attached to this silver birch here, and it's sort of flapping in the wind. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but they're both there. A spider's symbols of deep femininity, and that is you, Cancer. Regardless of whether you're a man or a woman, or you identify as neither, it doesn't really matter. But energetically speaking, you are a deeply feminine sign, and the ability to operate within chaos peacefully is something that should be innate to you. But modern life has taken every single one of your skills and told you weren't enough. And this is why this reading feels like it's so very spiritual, because it feels like you are accessing something higher, something that hasn't been valued by society, something that you've overthought, something that you got anxious about. You're so very sensitive, and it has been made out to you like that was a failing in you. But what has been in some ways, your greatest curse is actually going to turn out to be your greatest gift here, Cancer, because you look like you are starting to fashion order out of the chaos, and it starts with you. It starts with the stillness within. It starts with the accessing of that information that is coming through to you, like I said, through your intuition more than anything. But we build up this layer of static and white noise between us and our intuition, so that sometimes we can't hear it, we can't perceive what it's trying to tell us. And it feels to me like you are eliminating that. You have been eliminating that. And now your voice, the voice of your intuition, is speaking clearly to you in a way that you can discern and you can understand. And you are working with it now. You're working in alignment with it. So when you're getting a funny nudge about a person, you're not ignoring it. When you're getting a feeling that you should do something, you're not ignoring it. Like you really feel like you're coming in very, very close. Very, very close to something that is trying to guide you in a particular direction. And I really love this for you. Look at these. I mean, this is so powerful. We have the Hierophant, we have the Magician, and we have the Two of Pentacles. For some of you, your intuitive abilities, and I mean, to be fair, when I say intuitive, you're bordering on psychic, right? All of the water signs have this ability to perceive something other, the other, whatever that is. They're coming in so close now to you that some of you may be feeling like you need a mentor to deal with what it is that you're experiencing. And if it's not a mentor, then it is somebody who is already working within spiritual modalities who can help you not become too overwhelmed by it, because it can be overwhelming when it comes in. It's just like, you kind of wander around going, am I batshit insane, or is this really happening? Well, you know, if you're perceiving it, it's really happening. As I said to my daughter the other day, like, remember that the visible spectrum of light, you know, that which we can perceive makes up something like 0.05% of what actually exists. There's a whole 99.95% of things that you don't see on a daily basis that are just kind of swooping around and doing shit, right? And if you want X-rays, radio waves, stuff like that, but other things too. And they take different forms. It doesn't have to be things that you can see. It's just things that you can perceive. I am not clairvoyant. I've had my moments a couple of times, but that's not how my particular set of gifts work. The point is, however spirit or source or the universe or whatever you want to think, you know, whatever you believe is the thing here, because I'm not gatekeeping anyone. There's a sense of you wanting to reach out to people who are like-minded, who understand and who can help you channel this in the best way possible, because the High Priestess is a channel, right? She's bringing things through, she's channeling information. But you have it here with the Magician, which is active manifestation. Like the Magician and the Priestess, I think, or the High Priestess, I think that is the most powerful combination, personally, in the tarot. I know a lot of people say it's the Empress and the Emperor, but the Magician and the Priestess are the ones for me, like, because the Magician is that active masculine. He is bringing in, he is manifesting, right? The High Priestess is that divine feminine wisdom, that intuition, that knowledge that comes through. The pair of them working together are an absolute unstoppable force. And here you are with this. We have the Hierophant, and I do feel like there are things that you are feeling like you need to learn. Now, for all I'm having trouble seeing this in anything other than potentially a bit of a spiritual awakening, actually, Cancer. If that doesn't apply to you, I suspect it's because you haven't sat still for long enough to listen, because I think it probably does. But right, if on the face of it that does not apply to you, then this Three of Pentacles is about how you marshal your resources within relationships, how you work with other people, you know, how you cooperate, how you collaborate, what it is that you expect, what it is that you will invest. It can be referring to a sense of boundaries, right? And that's always been really important in our readings with Cancer. But it feels like you're really establishing yourself, right? Really coming into a sense of self, for sure. And where it is that you sit in the middle of it. Now, I think, hands up, cards on the table, like, excuse the pun. I feel like the former interpretation is the correct one here. We've got the Two of Pentacles. We've got this sense of you kind of struggling to make sense of what is going on with you at the moment. But there is an increasing sense of commitment and empowerment in what you are experiencing, you know. And it's consolidation. Like I said, it's this point of learning, not just learning the lessons, but really taking the lessons on board and then working out how you apply them to your 3D existence. Because the lessons and the information are coming thick and fast, and there's such serenity in where you are at the moment. Although it's slightly confusing and although it's slightly overwhelming, I think you've taken a great comfort in being able to hear that voice that you didn't even realise was speaking to you, in whatever sense that applies. Now, what's coming towards you in June, interestingly, is the Six of Swords. Here we go back to movement again. And the Six of Swords is all, you know, it's given to be moving away from situations that don't serve you in any, you know, particular way. But it's leaving behind a mindset for you, Cancer. That's how it feels to me. Right? The swords are all about, well, they are about communication, but they're also about the intellect. They're about the mind. They're about the way that you think about things. Hence why the Ace of Swords indicates that shift that's occurred for you. Right? And the sixes are always about movement. If the fives of the age are the agents of chaos, that's what Aquarian Insight always used to call them, where, shit gets blown up and you're like, oh God, like, what do I do next? The sixes are about moving to a safe distance away from that, and that does feel like what you are doing here. But what you're moving to a safe distance from is your own mindset. I mean, let's not forget that the Six of Swords naturally follows on from the Five of Swords, and one of the interpretations that I apply most often to that card is being stuck in cognitive loops, right? Not being able to see mentally a way out of things, because there's a certain amount of mental conditioning that has gone on with you, and that's particularly relevant for you, Cancer. Particularly if you've had, like a lot of you have had, like narcissistic mothers or something like that, right? Where you've been made to work for all the affection and the attention that you've ever had. So, you get into a relationship with someone who is not emotionally available and is perhaps in some ways emotionally puerile, and you're like, oh, I've just got to work really, really hard and invest loads and loads and loads into this person, and then they'll give me back what it is that I want. No. The shift here for you in your thinking is away from that mindset altogether. It's away from entirely away from investing in other people with a view to trying to fill what has been missing in you. Because what we've got here is the Ace of Cups, the Six of Cups, and the Judgment card. Now, everything that I just said becomes particularly relevant when we look at this Ace, because this can indicate new love. And honestly, actually quite often when you see it with the Six of Cups, see the Two of Cups and the Lovers or something like that with that, right? That's absolutely what it can mean. But because these cards are coming out to clarify a mindset here, then this one starts to talk to me about being comfortable in your own skin, accepting yourself, being kind and compassionate to yourself. If you want to go down that route, loving yourself. I know that makes a lot of people squirm. Like 5 years ago, I would have absolutely vomited if somebody had said that to me, right? But it is what it is, right? This is self-generating. This is you fixing or filling any of the holes within you that have been left by your conditioning, right? You're absolutely moving away from it this month. And with the Six of Cups here, can be the past, can be soulmates, but it feels like a reconfiguration of your emotional space, right? Being able to look objectively back on the past and your past conditioning, right? And I know I keep using that word, but it's exactly what it is. And being able to make a judgment on it. Right? Look at it objectively and go, I see now how I have repeated every single pattern I've ever, for decades, right? That I learned when I was a kid. And by that I mean quite possibly it started when you were pre-verbal, right? If I sit back and I look at every major relationship that I've ever had, whether it was romantic or whether it was a friend, whether it was work colleagues, whether it was the rest of my family, I see how this pattern has repeated over and over and over again. Now, you can't unsee that. A mind stretched by a new idea will never return to its original dimensions, and this is where you are at. Mm-hmm. I think you're rethinking every single aspect of what a relationship means to you, and I think that you are looking for the healthy version of that now. Like I said, you've got cycles within cycles, and all of them are completing. All of them are changing. You've got three aces here on the table. The only thing that's missing here is the Ace of Wands. And at this point, I don't think that you're ready for it anyway, because the Ace of Wands would be that, you know, passion, creativity, all that sort of thing. And you do feel like much more in a reflective frame of mind than anything else. But there's a true liberation here for you, Cancer, it's been a long time in the works. Hey, gosh, I mean, some of you really are making very strong contact with spirit guides, being guided in a particular direction. But there's some level of resurrection of old relationships, in your own mind at least. And looking for where you went wrong with all of them. With the intention of never starting that again, right? Never returning to that old cycle. This is why the breakthrough this month is so spectacular for you, because you are breaking that cycle. Well, I was actually, was that not the title of one of the previous videos? Like, the cycle's already broken, but now it's about the consolidation of all of that information. Here is the new, Cancer. It's absolutely here. So, this is wonderful. I'm so happy about this. I'm going to go over to Vimeo now and pull this apart a little bit more and see what is actually going on for you in the month of June. Because I realised that that was kind of abstract and broad, but I think we might be able to nail it down to something a bit more specific. So if you're interested in that, please do feel free to come and join me over there. The link, like I said, is in the description box. If not, no shade. I will see you next time. So I'm doing weekly readings as well now, so literally every every Monday rather, you can find me between 3 and 5-ish, I think, UK time, so whatever that is for you. So yeah, I'm just bumbling on now. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.